Hello, everyone. This is Loretta Sernowski from Remax Legacy, and welcome to another episode of Living in Rocky Point. Today, we have a very special guest talking about her business. We have Naomi Black of the Mermaids Market, and if you have not been to the Mermaids Market before, she's going to tell us a little bit about that. Naomi, thanks for joining this show. Can you introduce yourself and your role as the co-founder of Mermaids Market and the Seashell Museum?
Sure. This will be the 14th season of the Mermaids Market. So about 14 years ago, plus or minus, there was an event that happened for one season, and it was called the Farmers Market. And so when the man that did that decided not to continue with it, I thought about it over the summer, and my husband and I decided that we would do something that was similar, but really focused on artists, because there's not a lot of farmers that cooperated with being at the farmers market. Right. I wanted to have it in a different location. I wanted it to be at a very center of town location, which I picked, and we got permission to use that. We've been there ever since, and that's the Plaza del Camarón. And so we started it, we've completed 13 seasons, and it's just been a slow organic growth of vendors and visitors.
Great. I know I've been to it. There's lots of things to look at and buy there. I know you mentioned the local artists. Do you do the artists? Do you have the same artists all the time? Is there visiting artists?
Yes. So we have, at this point in time, we have a really good core of artists that return. In fact, like this season, I only have one artist at this point in time who's definitely told me that she won't be returning because she moved away. So they do enjoy returning and coming. And I have definitely one artist who's been there since the beginning. He's been there for all of our seasons. He was at the farmers market when it began, and he moved over with us and has been there. That's Tony Ballesteros. And then since then, we started with maybe between 6 and 8 vendors back at the beginning. And now we have between 50 and 60 vendors. I probably have 75 on the list. I do have vendors that come only when they're in town, visiting, like you mentioned. I have new vendors that are coming this season that have never been at the market before. So we just kind of slowly keep expanding into a little bit new areas. And so we have food, we have all kinds of artisanal foods. We have, of course, all different kinds of artists in every form of art. And then we do have our bar, which we've had for quite a few years now, with a signature drink of mermaid margaritas, and then a few other drinks that are made now. So, it's grown, and it's really fun. It's a great community event.
So when you mentioned food, do you have restaurants there? Do you have canned goods that people can buy, or what type of food are we talking about?
Yes. So at this point right now, I have 3 what I call anchor restaurants. So we have the Barbecue House, and this year they're going to also be bringing some hot dogs. They have a little hot dog stand. On the other side of the park, I have Fernando, who brings some traditional Mexican deep fried gorditas and tacos and all of that. And then on the other side of the park, I have the falafels, which is new and just really tasty. Then besides that, we have a lot of vendors. We have Rocky Pan, and so they bring bread, but they also sometimes will do pizza. I have tamales that you can eat there, take home a dozen. We have a lot of other snack foods, and and then I have a waiting list because restaurants really want to get in. But on the other hand, I want to protect the ability for the restaurants that I have to be profitable. So, it's kind of like playing which way to go on all of that. But my restaurants that I have are really good and reliable. And then I have ones on backup if somebody cancels that I can fill the space. We have all kinds of snacks, and desserts are big. We have ice cream. It's a really fun variety of on the food part of things.
So you said you have a waiting list. How many businesses do you have on the waiting list?
It's just mainly restaurants that I have on the waiting list. So there's like maybe four that I would
Okay.
like to be in if if somebody canceled or decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. But to date they haven't canceled.
Yeah. So I was just thinking if there was a lot, would moving to a bigger venue cross your mind?
um, I'll tell you the truth. I wanted to have the market at that park because it is very central to the community. It's not the biggest park. It's not the best for bringing in more and more and more vendors. I will say that.
Mhm.
But the best park for doing that is not centrally located. So I prefer to somewhat limit the size, and I'm doing it by myself more or less too. So like the more vendors, the more chaotic it is. But I mean, I'm not saying my vendors are chaotic. Don't get me wrong. I love them. But just mass
Sure.
produces more chaos and more bookkeeping and all of that. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with where it is. I don't know if I mean, I have had in the last 2.5 years since I've been doing it without my husband's assistance, I've had times where I thought that it was not going to be able to happen at the park. And I really was very, very not real excited to move it to a different location. I just think this is the place for it.
So the city, that's city property then?
Yes. So
Okay.
every time we have a market, the way I get my permit to have it for it to exist is through DEEF, which is like, I don't know exactly how you say it in English, but basically it's like a department that's um, somewhat private, somewhat public. They have a small amount of money that they receive from the government, but then they also need to collect more funds, and they care for disadvantaged families, children. They give out clothing and food and toys. They give out simple meals to like some of the more disadvantaged people in town that can come by and just grab a lunch or something. So it's a really great, I mean, I'm very happy to support them. They also do some sponsorships for schooling for kids. And so, it's a really great way to give to the community, but it's also how I get my permit. So
Uh-huh.
that's, we have a good long-term, cooperation in that regard.
Sure. That's great. So for someone coming there, for currency wise, should they be taking pesos, dollars? Do the vendors have like any way people can use their cards?
Well, I can't speak for all the vendors, but I will say that for the most part, I believe that they'll take either dollars or pesos.
Okay.
And I would just take a guess that maybe, I don't know, maybe 20% of them can take a card or do like Zelle or whatever the new
Yeah.
ways of getting money. I do. I have it where you can pay, with a card. You can use a card at MySpace, and I think there's a handful that also have that available. But I don't
That's
think it matters too much with the dollar peso. I think they're pretty much good with either. It's just
uh-huh.
that, just like everywhere else in Rocky Point, you kind of are dealing with what they want to give you as an exchange,
Right.
so and there's also a bank right up the street where you can go. So you can go use your ATM and you're going to get pesos at that bank. You're not going to get dollars, but you can, if you make a deal on something that's a lot more than you have in your pocket, because there are some vendors that bring some really cool stuff that's a little bit higher priced. So, you're not planning for that and you decide, yeah, I do want that painting for my condo or that wood carving or some great thing that you weren't expecting to buy. You can go to the bank and get money out too. So,
Yeah, of course. And so let's switch over to the Seashell Museum. Can you talk about what role that Seashell Museum plays in our community?
yes, well, so the Seashell Museum, um, I opened in January of 2018. So it's been here for all those years since May of 2025. We closed for the summer like always. And then over the summer, I moved it to Sado. So from the point of view of looking at it from the statistics that I have from my years of having it here on a dirt road in a neighborhood, this property that I'm sitting at right now is where it was housed. And I had thousands of people come here from 23 different countries. They found
Wow.
it on TripAdvisor for the most part. I just gave a speech out at Seto. We did the ribbon cutting this past Saturday, and I did mention the fact that if you go online on TripAdvisor and you just type in museums in Sonora, the last time I checked, which was like 5 days ago, it was in #1 position of museums in Sonora. And it's been in the top 10 things to do in Peñasco. So is the Mermaid's Market. And that's because I'm always asking people to do reviews, and like I say, for the Seashell Museum, obviously there's bigger museums. The state capital, Hermosillo, has great museums. But as far as them promoting, hey, put a review on TripAdvisor, they may not be doing that, and that's why mine is showing up. But the fact that it's showing up regardless, for whatever reason, it makes it so that I get visitors from all over the world, which is cool. So hopefully now that's going to continue with Seto, and they will be accessing that same TripAdvisor, Google Maps. It's all moved to their location, and people can find them really easy now. And it's just, I hope that it helps them get a bigger audience. The Seashell Museum is going to be open 5-6 days a week now instead of just one. I was only open on Friday or by appointment. So they have a lot better ability to have people come visit. It's a bigger space. We expanded it with some new displays that are really cool. And plus you have all of the Seto exhibit all around the Seashell Museum to look at and explore. And they do a really good job with doing interpretation. They'll do tours in English or Spanish with people, families or groups or whatever. So, I mean, I'm so thrilled it's out there. It just, like the way I concluded my speech out there, I'm just going to say the same thing because I have it memorized because I just did it on Saturday, is it's where it belongs. It's probably where it's always belonged. So my collection that was inventoried at 10,804 seashells is at Seto now, which is just perfect.
Yeah. I definitely think that's, now for people who are watching and listening, and they don't know where that is, can you explain where it is?
Right. So first off, if you check out Seto, CEDO, Intercultural, or you check out Seashell Museum on Google Maps or on TripAdvisor, it's going to direct you out there. And it's in Las Conchas. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe a mile in, but almost everybody, it's been there for 45 years. And out on the sand dune side, away from the water, is the big whale skeleton. So like almost everybody that's driven on the Las Conchas Road will remember that there's that whale skeleton. During COVID, they reversed. It used to be that the little gift shop was in a small building kind of in the back area. And it was a building that was done like, I don't know, maybe in the 70s. And it was like tin cans and old tires made into this really cool building that had its own cooling system and everything because of the way it was built, to kind of go along with nature. But during COVID and with the new director, she said, let's put the gift shop and all of the stuff in the big, new, beautiful, not new, in the big, beautiful, architecturally just fantastic building that used to just be dorms for college kids. So I think it's fantastic, and it also gives us space. We took a big storage room and emptied it and remodeled it and put the Seashell Museum in there.
So you mentioned that you did a speech last Saturday. Can you expand on the different types of activities that you have at the museum?
Well, so now you're going to be looking at Seto, and it's separate from me. I mean, I'm still named as the curator. The Seashell Museum is now in memory of my husband who passed away 2.5 years ago. So it's their entity now. They own it. It's their property. As far as the other things that they do, I would really recommend looking at Facebook, Instagram, and their website. They do tours, they do tide pools, they just released baby turtles not too long ago, like maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago. They do just a lot of work with everything to do with the Sea of Cortez.
Okay. So can you share with us your challenges that you've experienced in the last 10 years about the Mermaid's Market and the Seashell Museum? It seems like you've taken on a lot.
That's probably the biggest thing, is just that You know, in the last 2.5 years, I realized it was too much for me to do. We were kind of doing the work of 3 people, and now instead of it being 2 people, is 1. So that just the calculations mathematically just didn't work out anymore. So I mean, that's been my biggest thing. Just staying here, living here. You know, it's just like, I have a little quote on my refrigerator that says, every time I think about leaving. So I'm here. I love it. I can't imagine not living by the Sea of Cortez. And yet I do have the concept of simplifying. The Mermaids Market is not really something that I perceive not being a passion and something that I really value. It's such a great community event. So I have faced a little bit of, like I mentioned earlier, and you know, right now it's working really well and everything's great. But in the past, I've faced a little bit of adversity in getting permits and all of that. But right now, you know, I think everyone in the community, whether they're business people or government people, local government people, or the DEEF people, they all understand that it's a good thing for everybody that's involved with it.
Sure. I know you might not be able to think of this off the top of your head, but do you have like a funny or endearing story from your experience with the Mermaids Market or the Seashell Museum that makes you smile?
Wow, let me think. One year, okay, I'll tell you what happened. So at the end of the season for the Mermaids Market, our last event would be the pirate takeover, and it was Pirate and Mermaid Extravaganza. Then it was Pirate and Mermaid Fiesta. But from a few years in, we decided to do this party for the last market of the season. So a few years back, unbeknownst to us, we had the permit, we had the permission, we had everything to go. And I believe it was like on Thursday night, we drove past the park and the Oaxaca Art Expo had moved in. They always came. They usually would set up for like 2 weeks right around Semana Santa. A couple times they even set up in the Sam's Club parking lot instead of at the park. Now we know that they set up for a month around Semana Santa, and so I scheduled for that. But at the time, we didn't know we were going to be there. And here they were on a Thursday night, and we had our big, grand fiesta event scheduled for the Saturday. So we ended up getting special permission from the city, and this is kind of the part that I find humorous. They gave us permission to have 100 table or chair legs on the grass. 100. Well, when you divide that by how many, every chair table has 4 legs, we could have 25 tables and chairs in the grass. And that was like a huge thing that they were giving us permission for that, because normally you're not supposed to have tables and chairs in the grass. At least that's the rules. We also had to move the entire market over to the sidewalk by the bank. We had to move our band that we had. They actually played on top of the little gardener shed as a stage, which turned out really cool. And I mean, we just had to change the whole place where it was at. And then people were a little bit confused because there was like the ebb and flow of like, what is the Oaxaca market and what is the Mermaids Market? And we just were kind of flowing all together. But anyway, that's my funny story. I don't know how funny it is, but the 100 chairs in the grass just cracked me up.
Yeah, of course. Quick,
100 legs.
So you mentioned that you're moved to your new spot. So what about your old spot?
So for the time being, my property here is for sale. So it's on multi-listing. It's up for sale. I hope someone buys it and puts a passion project in here. It's a beautiful, there's 2 buildings, there's a garden. It's a really pretty location for somebody to do something. And I just hope that happens soon. And then I have my options of moving my little shop to other locations and doing more pop-up markets and different things like that. I mean, my fashion shows are always something that I look forward to doing. And, you know, I don't do that on this property, so that would be elsewhere anyway. I bring my things to the Mermaids Market. Then also at the barbecue house on their location number 2, on the off weekends when we don't do a Mermaids Market, they do what we've called the Little Mermaid Market. So they have like between 10 and 15 of the vendors that are usually at the Mermaid Market in their little garden area of their restaurants. So I can join them anytime I want. So, I definitely have options of how I will continue my little off the beach Sweet Naomi recreations business, even when this property sells.
That's great. Well, for everyone watching, you know that I'm the Las Conchas neighborhood specialist. I live in Las Conchas. I work there. I actually have 2 great listings that are close to your place. One is the founders of Sado. They're have decided to sell. They have a beautiful 5-bedroom house on a double lot. The ocean view is unobscured, with an attached double garage, which is sometimes hard to find in Las Conchas. And we have that for $459. And then right across the way on the other side is a beautiful home. It's listed at $423. And the great part about this is lots of times in Las Conchas, you have to go up the stairs to the kitchen. And let's face it, if you have bad knees or you just don't want to carry a case of water or beer up there, this one is a single level. The bedrooms and everything are on the main floor, and it does have a garage too. So if anyone's interested in any of those properties, please reach out to me. Naomi, thank you so much for coming on the show. When is the next Mermaids Market?
So the first opening event of the season is October 18th. So what is today? Thursday? So it's 9 days from now. So put it on the calendar and let's be there.
And if
I'll be there.
Being a vendor, is there room for someone who makes jewelry or whatever? I know you said you had a waiting list for restaurants. Is there any room for someone?
I do have some space, limited space, for anyone that's doing art. And yes, I kind of try to limit if it's too competitive with other artists I have. So I still do, like, I'm not like super vetting people, but I do, just for the sake of my vendors that already are there, to keep them productive and profitable, I will limit some things, mostly just Mexican souvenirs. I think that we have as many of those as we possibly could hope for or need. So I probably wouldn't go for those kind of things. But and handmade items aren't.
Do the vendors have to be local or can they be from out of town?
From my point of view, it doesn't matter to me from where they're from. I've had vendors that just come in from Canada for a month and they set up once or twice. And from all over the United States and from Mexico, and then a lot of locals too. So from my point of view, it doesn't matter to me. And I don't get involved with asking anything about, how are you paying your taxes or anything. That's basically, everybody has their own obligation, responsibility to take care of that. I just provide them with the little 10 by 10 space.
Okay, great. And we'll post Naomi's contact information in the caption. Thanks again. Everyone mark their calendars for that. It's an awesome event. The weather is finally starting to be absolutely beautiful. Hopefully we don't have too much rain this weekend, but still it's just nice to get up and go for a walk on the beach with weather like this. See you soon. See you on the 18th. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.